Kamala Harris lost the election. But if she and other leaders and would-be leaders of the Democratic Party don't stand up now to challenge Trump and this fascist crew that he's assembling, they're going to lose our democracy as well. On this program, I was complaining about the fact that CNN and MSNBC had both spent 40 minutes carrying a live press conference by Donald Trump in which he lied through his teeth, talked about privatizing the post office, mused about ending school children's vaccines for polio, threatened an Iowa newspaper pollster. I mean, you know, it's just a typical Trump BS fest. And I went into this rant about, you know, where is Joe Biden? Well, it turns out I was uninformed, apparently. Joe Biden, at that same time, was giving a speech at the inauguration of the Francis Perkins National Monument to FDR's Labor Secretary Francis Perkins up in Maine. And he truthfully pointed out that in his one 4-year term, he created 16 million jobs, which is more than all the jobs created by Bush Sr., Bush Jr., and Trump combined. That's 16 years of Republicans created fewer jobs than Joe Biden did in 4 years. None of the media carried it. Trump's press conference, we're still talking about 3 days later. Biden's press conference, not a word. So I get it. There's a media bias against Democrats generally, or you could argue for Trump. I mean, we saw this with, you know, Les Moonves, the head of CBS News, saying, you know, it's making us money. Keep it up, Donald. But that doesn't mean that elected Democrats need to run and hide. I mean, Americans across the country are terrified, particularly in red states where women are bleeding out while the morbidly rich and the religious fanatics are licking their chops. Are the Democrats? What happened to when we fight, we win? I mean, even when the media would rather ignore you, even when even when the media is against you, political theater still works. Standing up to bullies still works. Fighting back becomes even more imperative. Where the hell, for example, is Kamala Harris? She told us Trump was a fascist. She said he was a threat to the country. She said he was going to destroy she said, quote, Donald Trump has said he would terminate the Constitution of the United States. That sounds like a 5-alarm fire. So where has she been since the election? Did Trump's fascism just go away? His threat to terminate the Constitution was just a joke? Where the hell is she? For that matter, where the hell are the leaders in the Democratic Party? It seems like Nancy Pelosi's been spending her time trying to keep Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from getting leadership of the Oversight Committee, handing it off instead to a 74-year-old congressman with throat cancer. I mean, really? The headline over at KamalaHarris.com right now says, "Our fight continues," all capital letters. And below that it says, "Please donate to hold the Trump administration accountable." Really? How's she going to do that from wherever she and Tim Walz are hiding? Please tell me. Is it that Trump has succeeded in cowing the Democrats as fast as he has our largest corporations, their billionaire owners, and Joe and Mika? I mean, a few Democratic members of Congress have even said, we look forward to working with Trump and his muskrat buddy. Is this some kind of sick joke? Remember the night of President Obama's first inauguration? At the same time Louise and I were dancing with Barack and Michelle at Union Station, Republican leaders were gathered at the Caucus Room restaurant in Washington, D.C. to organize a massive resistance campaign against America's first black president. It was the entire leadership of the GOP. Eric Cantor, Jeb Hensarling, Pete Hoekstra, Dan Lundgren, Kevin McCarthy, Paul Ryan, Pete Sessions, Senators Tom Coburn, Bob Corker, Jim DeMint, John Ensign, John Kyle, Newt Gingrich, and Frank Luntz, who organized the meeting. I wrote an article about it back in the day for Truthout. This is what I wrote. Over juicy steaks and fancy cocktails in a private room in the back of the restaurant, the Republican bigwigs promised each other to muster and obstruct any and all legislation supported by President Obama. Congressman Pete Sessions, who was at the 4-hour-long dinner, even promised to use Taliban-like tactics to achieve these goals. Kevin McCarthy said that he would obstruct every single piece of legislation, including things Republicans used to support. The Caucus Room conspiracy had three major objectives. Number one, use obstruction, knowing that the corporate media would call it gridlock and blame both parties to prevent Obama from having any legislative success. Number two, sabotage any legislative victories that the president did have, like Obamacare, and convince U.S. citizens they were actually failures. And number three, to blame all the economic damage caused by this Republican sabotage on both parties, and then come out and say, we're going to fix it if you just elect us. Kevin McCarthy came out of the meeting and told a reporter, he said, if you act like you're in the minority, you're going to stay in the minority. We've got to challenge them on every single bill and challenge them on every single campaign. And sure enough, they did. They continue to do so to this day. And the voters, by the way, rewarded them, President Obama and his Democrats, in the 2014 election. Remember? Excuse me, in the 2010 election. Where are the Democrats today with that kind of spine? Where is our resolve to fight rather than enable fascists? What happened to our principles, our commitment to democracy? 24-year-old Parkland survivor and gun activist David Hogg, one of the Democratic Party's up-and-coming stars, I would say, pointed out that the Democratic Party has become far too reliant on self-interested consultants. He said, quote, throughout the campaign, there were multiple times that I brought up publicly my concern about young voters, and I was shut down by consultants and messaged by them saying, you don't know what you're talking about. This is not an issue. This is dumb of you to say, and a whole lot of other things I can't tell you on TV. He said, we need to build a party that tells people what it needs to hear, not what its consultants are paid to say. There were a few brave governors who stepped up and spoke out. J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, Lujan Grisham, and a few others who said, no, we're going to fight Trump's mass deportations. And then the party went silent. Now, this isn't how Democrats used to do this. LBJ ate the Republicans' lunch. He destroyed them. Franklin Roosevelt, he called them and the people who backed them economic royalists. He said, these economic royalists complain that we seek to overthrow the institutions of America. What they really complain about is that we seek to take away their power. And our allegiance to American institutions requires the overthrow of this kind of power. Philadelphia, 1936. Republicans called FDR a tyrant and a communist, and he laughed at them. They said he'd destroy America. They whined and complained as he called out their fat cats and ridiculed that generation's Republican Party. He rendered them impotent. When one wealthy man leave the country because of FDR's 90% income tax, FDR said, well, I will miss him very much. To laugh, you've all heard the clip on this program. He named names. He was arrogant. He fought hard on behalf of the average person until literally the day he died. Where is this generation's FDR? Where are the Democratic Party's heroes? Where are our spokespeople? Where is their outrage? Or do Democrats expect Trump to just magically morph into Mitt Romney on January 20th? Five-alarm fire is over? Fire is out? Disaster averted? What the hell? Kamala Harris lost the election. She lost by a whisker, but she lost. But if she and other leaders and would-be leaders of the Democratic Party don't stand up now to challenge Trump and this fascist crew that he's assembling, don't offer a contrasting vision for the future of our country today, if they don't challenge Trump's outrageous policies and bizarre appointments single day, they're going to lose our democracy as well.